Welcome to Talk the Walk. I'm Sarah Wong. Hong Kong is bracing for a second Lunar New Year under strict COVID curbs. Restaurants won't be able to serve evening dinners during the holiday week when large families come together. Bars and entertainment venues will stay shuttered for 2 weeks. Hong Kong Chamber of Food and Beverage Industry Chairman Simon Wong joins us now to give us his views on the latest round of social distancing policies. Thank you very much, Simon, for making time for us. Appreciate you being here. Now, first of all, how has the government's COVID restrictions since the pandemic began hit the food and beverage industry? And can the industry survive the latest storm?
Well, the pandemic started in 2020 in February.
Yes.
And since then, we have gone through a lot of ups and downs. Particularly when the pandemic is affecting widely in our community. And well, at one point, our business had been dropped by more than 40% in 2020. And the unemployment rate actually in end of 2020 and beginning of 2021 or last year, the unemployment rate for the catering industry has jacked up to close to 15%. This is very alarming.
Yeah.
That's why the government has to roll out few relief programs to save the economy, especially for the catering industry, because our industry is one of the industries being hurt badly, and we need help from all perspectives.
40% reduction, 15% of workforce loss. Do you think that
yes,
this wave, like what we're experiencing right now, is just the beginning, but we're already very hard hit by the looming fifth wave? Do you think the restaurant industry will see the impact that's worse than the 40%, 50% that we've seen in 2020?
Well, actually, by the end of 2021 until December, we actually enjoyed the recovery of our business. And the unemployment rate has since then lowered down to 4.2% in general. And even for our catering industry, the unemployment rate has come down to about 6.2%. This is already very good for us. But starting, actually 1st of January this year, the fifth wave of the pandemic seems coming. And right now, the government has already imposed the very strict restrictions on the social distancing measures. Banning the dine-in services after 6 p.m. for all the restaurants. This is, hurting. This is hurting our business very much. I estimated that since 7th of January, every day we are losing 150 million Hong Kong dollars in business. And if during this time, because this is close to Chinese New Year, we normally do about 300 million business per day. So the business has dropped by almost 50%. And for the Chinese restaurants particularly, their business hurt badly because most of the banquets have been canceled. And actually, they cannot do any banquets at all after 6 p.m. That's why, they're calling for help and try to, survive from this pandemic.
Yeah, I can only imagine the hardship that the food and beverage catering industry has been enduring. But I also understand that it's a difficult decision for the government to make under the current public health guidance and the risks that we need to balance. What would you suggest that the government do in order to strike a balance that to
Yes.
make a policy that is not that adverse and not that stringent to restaurant workers?
Well, in fact, I don't quite agree with the current restriction measures.
Okay.
Well, this is suggested by one of the advisors, appointed by the CE. And while Professor Leung, he suggests that we should have a very strict restriction imposed immediately. While what he has been saying is I think on January 4th. And then the chief executive make an announcement on the 5th of January and impose the restriction will be launched on the 7th. Only given us 2 days to make preparation. This is far short for us to make a lot of preparation work for our restaurants. When you see that, actually this is our busy time, and we have already received a lot of bookings, and a lot of Chinese restaurants have already ordered a lot of food stuff, especially for the fresh food, which cannot be stored for a long time. And, what I want to suggest to the government is that, first of all, they can give us a little bit more time. Secondly, is 6 p.m. Banning the dining, during this time is a good decision. I have some doubt about this.
Why?
And
you don't think that would be efficient?
No, would the virus stop coming out after 6 p.m.? Huh? I don't think so. A couple of days ago, I made a suggestion to the Secretary of Health, Professor Sophia Chen, asking her to, roll out some kind of measures not that strict. Like for example, with dine-in service until 8 p.m. in the evening, that would at least give us a couple more hours to let people to dine in. This would of course help our industry a lot.
Has Secretary Sophia Chen got back to you yet, saying she's open to the idea of extending the dine-in hours?
Well, probably she might be under some kind of pressure, and she only replied to me with some emoji.
I see. Okay.
Say thank you, something like that. This is not enough. Probably she's thinking about how she can structure some kind of measure to help the industry. But on the 7th, until then, we lost $100 million in business per day. This is, quite a bit for us.
I understand this. Like you said, that the 6 p.m. evening dining ban seems arbitrary because the coronavirus doesn't know time.
That's right.
It doesn't vanish after 6 p.m. But like you said, the coronavirus also doesn't know that it's the Lunar New Year. It's the on season, the peak season for catering industry. So
yes.
Do you think that Dr. Lang also has a point of imposing these restrictions very quickly in the bid to get ahead of the virus, to clamp it down first. Then we will probably see the wave, see the virus gradually dying down just in time for Lunar New Year.
Well, I can see the point raised by Professor Leung, but then we have to strike some kind of balance between medical as well as business or economy. Our economy is badly hit, and starting from today, in this evening, the Chief Executive will make another announcement to roll out the relief program for the 5.0 program. And as you see, we only have 4 billion of reserve for this relief program. And when we are talking about there are so many industries being affected by this restriction, 4 billion funding is far too little to help the industry, especially when we are noting that the restriction will be extended for another 2 weeks. That means we cannot do any business before Chinese New Year, and also until February the 3rd. If the restriction after February the 3rd continues, that means we might face another restriction for another week or another 2 weeks. That means for the whole February, it's going to go down the drain, So how can we survive? How can the government help us with 4 billion in relief funding? This is not enough. So we have actually made some suggestions to the government. First of all, we want the government to help the SMEs first. Secondly, we want the government to extend the program of the 100% guarantee fund for SMEs, and allowing them to pay the interest instead of the principal. And thirdly, of course, we want the government to help the employees.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about that after the break. Tata Watt will be back in a moment. Stay with us.